a few months free? I mean, what does that look like?
Well, because I've leased out so many spaces and I've learned through the process of leasing, and one day hopefully I'll own my own space. What you have to do is negotiate, and the terms are what you make them. Landlords like to see long-term leases. They like to see you set up in their place for a long period of time. When you do set up in there for a long period of time, they tend to give you more.
Okay.
So, say if you see a space and you really want to lease it, and you say, "Okay, I will sign a 5-year lease." In that lease, you will build to suit. So you will do all the build out for me. They're more willing to negotiate those terms with you than if you came in there and said, "I want to stay for 1 year." You're risky. So they're not going to do that. So most landlords, like in my school situation, I've been in my location for 9 years.
Wow.
So my landlord knows that I'm pretty planted and pretty steady there.
Were you afraid to say, "I'm going to be in this space for 5 years"?
No, when I walked into this is, I own a salon right 3 doors down.
Right.
Okay, my salon was successful until I sold it. I sold it because I couldn't do both.
Right.
Okay.
You can't split yourself up so much that you can't concentrate on what your main goal is.
Right.
My main goal was to become successful so that I did not have to work behind the chair, so that I could have enough money to be financially free. So I had to figure out, I had already reached the glass ceiling of becoming a hairstylist.
Got it.
So I needed to figure out, okay, what's next for me? I love the industry so much that I did not want to go away from it. So becoming a school owner was my option. Because I had a radio show, because I had a product line, because I was pretty popular. Really, it was in a conversation. My landlord and I were sitting on paint buckets in my now school that was an empty space. And he asked me, "Arthur, what are your goals? What do you want to do? You're a pretty successful guy." And I told him I wanted a school. And he said, "Let's do it."
Wow.
And that's really how it happened.
Wow.
And then we began to negotiate the terms. It took about 6-7 months for me to negotiate what type of terms I wanted. And you cannot be afraid to say, "I don't want that term." A lot of us go into business hungry and desperate, and we take the first good offer that's presented to us. We have to stay steadfast and know what we want. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Truth, what he said, is always, it prevails. So you have to be honest with your landlord and say, "Hey, I don't have the money for that." He'll say, "Let's do it." I didn't have the money for the equipment. He said, "I'll provide that if you sign another year on a lease."
Wow.
I said, "Okay." So that's how you build relationships with landlords. Don't take the first option. Look around, search around, and look for the best situation for you. Your landlords need you more than you need them. There are plenty of spaces, and if you can remember, back in 2010, 9, 8, there were a lot of empty spaces.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have the option of really doing your homework and looking around for the best option for you and negotiating. You do not have to take the first space that they offer to you.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So once you got in there and everything, the lights and stuff was open, like you said, IPL coming.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And employees, you
Yes.
hired employees. What did that look like financially for you in terms of, were there moments where you like, "I don't even know how I'm going to
Oh, absolutely.
How did you financially plan for that?
Absolutely. Hindsight is 20/20. And a lot of times when you are an entrepreneur, if you know everything that's going to happen before it happens, you won't do it.
Right.
It's scary. Okay, honestly. Those first 5 to 7 years are tough, grueling. You have to be creative in your advertising. You have to be creative in your spending. You have to not spend more on yourself. Don't take a lot of draws. Make sure you save. You know, if it's $50, you put it up and you save it for a rainy day. In my current situation, my air conditioning went out. I'm responsible for that. That was $10,000.
Oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
Because I have 2 spaces. I had to prepare for that. So if I didn't have that available, my students will probably leave.
Right.
So you have to be creative in your spending. It was tough the first few years, and what I did was, thank God, I had a second job, and it was hair, and it was 3 doors down. So I was able to reach out and touch my business every now and then and see what was going on. And, you know, I became an instructor, so I was able to instruct when I didn't have a teacher to save money. So I became my own employee, so I saved money by not having to pay someone to do what I was trained to do. So, I mean, there are all kinds of ways that you can be successful, but you have to be creative and you have to be smart about it. And you have to take risks. And you have to wait your turn and know the best situation that is for you.
What would you say your biggest risk that you've taken has been as an entrepreneur?
Owning a beauty school. Owning a beauty school has been the biggest risk for me. And I know that bigger risks mean bigger blessings.
Yes.
So, you know, it's been difficult. It had been difficult because we had to get to the point where we were following certain guidelines that the government had put upon us other than the city guidelines. And so we had to do some things that we weren't able to really do financially. We had to be creative about it. So getting accredited was definitely one of the hardest things that I had ever imagined to do with the school, but it's been rewarding.
What's your next big risk that you want to take?
I want more square footage.
Okay.
I'm looking at a space right now that hopefully I can own, and it's 6,000 square feet. I'm in 3,000 right now. My school is growing. We have currently 15 to 20 nail techs starting within the next month, and that's unheard of because 90% of those nail techs are African American.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
And they are all currently receiving financial aid, which we just got approved for.
Awesome.
So we were able to up our
That's
financial
awesome.
aid and charge more.
So Andre, what advice would you give? I'm going to do some role playing.
Yeah.
What advice would you give Peanut financially as a business owner, hearing what his next big risk is that he wants to take? I'm sure you probably met with somebody, but what advice would you give Peanut?
You know, I think Peanut's got the best advice you can get, which is experience. I mean, he knows what business he's in. A lot of what he talked about is so true. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 19 years. This will be my 19th year in business. But saving money is king. Cash is king, okay? Because sometimes you can't get access to credit. I think one of the things that happened in 2008, and I saw that coming with the mortgage crisis, right, is a lot of people stopped lending, right? And I had another business in addition to what I have now, but if you don't put that money back, when it dries up and you can't get the equity lines of credit and you can't get small business loans and things like that, it makes it very difficult to be creative, like he's saying, right? And so I think that would be, for where he's at, he's in a different space, so growth means something different. He's got the basic principles down, which I think people struggle with entrepreneurship, is they want to be paid immediately. They still have the employee mindset. And when you're an entrepreneur, it don't work like that. You might be you might not get paid.
Say it again.
Okay?
Preach,
Right?
my brother, preach.
And so that's a deal breaker for most people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you gotta start stacking money away. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, you really got to get this money right. All right, because it ain't no check coming every 2 weeks, right? And that's why the thinking is so different. See, everybody's a lion. Right? So Tia, everybody say, I'm a lion, I'm ready to get out here. Everybody a lion until they get dropped in the jungle. You understand what I'm saying? Like the mindset's different. I took my daughter when she was 5 years old. She's 12 now. So we went on this little school trip to the zoo. And so we went up to the lion. They got this big plexiglass piece at the Indianapolis Zoo. And my 5-year-old kids say the strangest things. So she says, Daddy, why the lion always sleep when we come to the zoo? So the lion was over there asleep. Then it just happened to wake up, and she said, and the lion's overweight. Why the lion overweight? I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know, right? But God kind of put it in my head. This is the employee versus the entrepreneur. See, the lion in the zoo get fed every day. So they don't have to get up and run no more.
Right.
But see, we've been out in the wild for a little bit. How you eat out in the wild?
You go catch it.
You got to catch it.
Yeah.
Right? See, if you
That's
take
good.
that zoo
Good. That
line,
is good.
That's good.
you take that zoo line and put it back out here in the jungle.
It
ain't
ain't
gonna
gonna
make
work.
it.
It ain't gonna make it.
And a lot of us,
my
that's what stops you from being an entrepreneur, because you don't want to get out there and do it. You don't want to be that lion to get out there. You want to keep laying down.
That's real.
You got to get out there.
Yeah.
It's
How
so
could he, okay, so financially, could you give him some pointers of how he could leverage what he has now, knowing that his goal is building ownership? From a financial standpoint, how could he leverage that?
I think there's probably some investment strategies I could give him, which I don't want to do on the
Line,
air,
okay.
just
Do off
because I
air.
don't want.
Yeah.
He's in a different space.
Yeah.
There's some investment strategy that could give money liquid to him that could still earn interest.
Gotcha.
That he doesn't pay federal taxes to take money in and out. Is better than leaving it in a bank. I think everything where he's at now is just cash. He understands the business is about distribution. It's about a lot of people bringing a little, so he don't have to do it all no more. So his business model changed. He went from self-employed to a business owner, right? And see, we get those two mixed up, right? We say, well, I do my own thing, so I'm a business owner. If you don't have other people working and generating money for you, you're self-employed.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah,
Repeat
that is good. That's good.
Repeat that.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So if you're self-employed, so if I'm a hairstylist, I'm a barber. If I don't cut anybody's hair, guess how much I make today? Zero. But see, a business owner has other people working for them.
See it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, they have other income streams that don't depend on them. So his business model has changed, right? So he went from self-employed to a business owner now. So your thinking is different, right? So the real question is, how do I get a lot of people to do a little so I don't have to do it all?
That's it.
That is real business ownership, right? If he's a great hairstylist, but the way he gonna make the most money is by teaching other people how to do that. It's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
Okay, it's only 7 days a week. It's only 168 hours a week. He can try to work them all, but he can't do that. So what he's doing now is he's using his skill to develop other income streams. See, down the road, we could talk business where everything he's doing could generate. Okay, because he's got a talent that everybody knows him. You notice that he's talking about he had a product line. He got this. He figured it out. He got out of the chair and figured out how to get other money to come in. All right? And so that's the brilliance behind it. A lot of times as African Americans, we got to feel like we the best. Okay? That is the kiss of death.
Yes.
It really is.
It really is, right? So I heard there's a book called Built to Last. I'm not
When
ready.
you writing a book?
Right. I'm gonna do
Seriously.
that. I'm gonna do that.
I got
Okay.
a writing coach for him.
Okay, we're gonna get it
Celadon
done.
Writing Group, Dr.
Okay.
Tyra Celadon. Shout
All right.
out. I'm plugging all
Shout
day
out.
today.
What's
Yes.
up?
I'm
She's
with
our
it.
writing coach. She's
Yes.
going to read be Tia's and mine. So,
Oh, wow.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
Let's
We're
get
on-
it.
we're on
you
it.
want
Both
to
on that
book
book
written,
journey.
she got you.
I
She's a
got
bad mamma jamma. I'm not going to name drop who she's
Yeah.
written for, ghost
Right.
written for, but she's a bad mamma jamma.
Well, I'm ready.
She'll be
Yeah,
on
I
the show.
need that information.
Yes.
I'll give it to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shout out, Dr. Tyra.
So,
Shout out.
Right. So Jack Welch used to